Yes. All right, continuing in the Hasidic encyclopedia or compilation of the Tzemach Tzedek's works called Sefer Halikutim, Dach Tzemach Tzedek. In the section about Umot, haOlam, the nations of the world, page Taf Kuf Lamed Vav, which would be 536 at the bottom of the page. We only have a few more pieces left in this entry within the Umot haOlam section, so it's very exciting. All right, so this is taken from the explanations to the Zohar of the Tzemach Tzedek. Just as in the holy side, Yesh Shivim Nefesh, there are 70 souls. So as we mentioned that the way to count the Jewish souls, there are different ways depending on how specific and detailed one wants to get. There's a very general way of counting them and saying that there's 12 different types of souls corresponding to the 12 tribes, all depending on which tribe one comes from. Then you can divide them up into extreme details and say 600,000, that there are 600,000 different souls. Those are in details. And the truth is there's even more details, because so long as you have more than 600,000 Jews alive at a time, millions, so then each one is only part of one of these general souls of 600,000. Be that as it may, one of the ways to count is according to the number of Jews that originally descended to the land of Mitzrayim, the land of Egypt, with Yaakov, Jacob, and his family. Initially, when they came to become reunited with Joseph, Yosef, in Egypt. So there, the Torah tells us the number, and it actually lists them all by name. 70 nations were going down. All right, today is the 22nd of Adar, 5786. Continuing along in the Sefer Likutim, Dach Tzemach Tzedek, Hasidus of the Tzemach Tzedek. We are in the entry of Umot haOlam, the nations of the world. Bottom of page Taf Kuf Lamed Vav, which would be 536. Kamoisha B'Kedusha, Yesh Shivim Nefesh, Yoitzei Yerech Yaakov. Just as in the side of Kedusha, there are 70 souls. We know that the Jewish people can be divided up in various different ways. There's the 12 tribes, and in detail, there's 600,000 souls, and even those, actually, each one includes many. That's how you can have millions of Jews at the same time if there's only 600,000 specific souls, because each one shares a part, a fraction of a soul. Well, one of the ways to divide up and to count the souls is 70. Those are the 70 souls that are the descendants of Yaakov, originally Jacob, when he went down to Egypt to become reunited with his son Yosef, Joseph. So the Torah says there are 70, and it actually lists all of them by name, which are all the immediate descendants of Yaakov. So those are 70. Shehem Nimshachim, they actually are drawn down Mishiv Amidois El Yoinos, from the seven character traits, the 7 emotional character traits, the divine 7. As it says in the discourse beginning with the 25th of Kislev in Chanukah, regarding the 7 branches, the 7 lights of the menorah in the Holy Temple, not to be confused with Chanukah, which we light 8, but in the Holy Temple. So there are 7 lights, the middle one, and then 3 branches on either side, a total of 7. Each one of those 7 corresponds to a midah, to a specific emotional trait. And each midah is made up of all the 10 spheros, the 3 levels of intellect and the 7 levels of the emotions of the heart, a total of 10. So that would be 7 times 10. Thus you have the 70 souls. So that's how it is in Kedusha, by the Jews in the side of holiness. Kimoi Kain, likewise, Yesh Shivim Umois Oivdei Kechavim. Corresponding to that, there are 70 nations which are idolatrous, the non-Jewish nations. Kimosha Amru Razal, as our sages of blessed memory said, Berabba Nosoi, Parsha Tes, Daf Reish Lamed Amud Beis. It's a Medrash Rabbah in the Torah portion of Nosoi, the second portion in the book of Numbers, section 9, which would be page 230b. What does it say? Shem, how do you get 70 nations? Shehem, they are Shloishim B'nei Cham, the 30 descendants of Cham, the son of Noach, Yudalut B'nei Yefes, the 14 descendants of Yefes, Chavav B'nei Shem, and the 26. So if you take a look in the Chumash, where it lists the 3 sons of Noach after the flood as they produced children, Shem, Cham, and Yefes, the 3 sons of Noach. So he had 30, he had 14, and he had 26. Shenemar, as the verse states, Yatsev Gvulois Amim, we had this quoted earlier, that Hashem will place the borders of nations Lemispar B'nei Yisrael, according to the number of the Jewish people. In other words, the number of the nations of the world will correspond to the same number as the original Jews, which is 70. The Kamahem, and how many are they? Shivim, 70. Kol HaNefesh Leveis Yaakov, all the souls of the house of Jacob, Haba Mitzrayim, which came to Egypt originally. And the nations which are idolatrous, they too are 70, etc. Vizehu, and this is the meaning of the verse in Shir Hashirim, the Song of Songs. One is my dove. Take a look there in the Midrash. So this was a short little quote from that Midrash in Medrash Rabbah Parshas Nasai. And now another reference. V'ayin mizeh, take a look about the same thing. Berabois in Medrash Rabbah, Soif Parsha Mishpatim. At the end of the Torah portion of Mishpatim in the book of Exodus. Soif Parsha Lamed Beis, at the end of section 32 over there. Daf Kufnun Amud Dalet, page 150D. Me'inyon Yatziv Gvulei Schuli, where it discusses over there the same idea of this verse that Hashem will place the borders, etc. And then another reference. Uvezoyar Chelak Beis Parsha Shmois Daf Hey Seif Amud Beis. In the Zoyar, part 2, and the Parsha of Shemois, page 5b. Uvemikdash Melech Sham, and in one of the commentaries on the Zoyar over there. Sheyesh, what does it say there? Yud Beis Sarim, there are 12 spiritual ministering angels. Behechal HaRatzoin, in the chamber which is referred to as Ratzoin, which is a will. Shem Yoinkim, that they are receiving their nourishment, they are getting from Miyud Beis Gvulei Alachzoin, from the 12 horizontal borders. So that's a Kabbalistic idea of the 12 various ways of how to go from one attribute to the other. So it ends up being 12 different lines. Vayud Beis Sarim, and these 12 ministering angels, Mimunim al Ayin Sarim, the Ayin Umais, they are appointed in charge of the 70 angels, which are in charge, each one of them, over the 70 nations. So every one of the nations of the world has a specific spiritual angel, and each one of those is receiving from these 12 borders. And this is again the meaning of what the verse says, that the nations of the world will correspond to the number of Jews. Hainu, meaning should be Bnei Yisrael, that by the Jewish people, Yud Beis Shvatim, there are 12 tribes. Heim Yud Beis V'ulei Alachzoin, those are these 12 border lines that we're talking about. Shalemailum Yud Beis Sarim Hanal, which are above the 12 spiritual angels or ministering angels. Umehem nimshachim ayin nefesh, and from them come the 70 souls. V'ayin minyan Beis Sarim shebeichal haratzoin. And I was giving us another reference if you want to understand more about these 12 ministering angels, which are in the chamber of will of Ratzoin, the Pardes, Shar Chav Dalud Perek Shishi. So the Pardes, which is a famous Kabbalistic work written by the Moshiach Kardavara, the Ramak. So he tells us where in the Pardes to find it. Vayin Oid, and furthermore, you should look Bezoyer Chelik Beis, Parshas Beshalach, Tav Samach Beis Amud Beis, in the Zoyar again, volume 2, on the Parsha of Beshalach, page 62b. Al Pasuk, based on the verse which is written in that Parsha in Beshalach, Vayovoyu Elima. It says that the children of Israel arrived in a place called Elima. They came to Elim. And then the verse says, Visham, and over there in Elim, Shteim Esrei, Ein Nois Mayim, there were 12 well springs of water, Veshivim Tamarim, and 70 palm trees, trees of dates. So there you have again, they arrived in this place, and it says there were 12 and 70. Uvemikdash Melech Sham, and in this commentary on the Zoyar, over there, it explains Inyan Ayin Sarim, the idea of the 70 ministering angels, Shechayusam hu, that their whole vitality is coming mizda, from the emotional traits, the divine emotional traits. Besoid, and this is the Kabbalistic concept, the Ata Mechayes Kulam, and you, Hashem, are vivifying, are giving life to all of them. Ad kan l'shoinoi, up to here is the quote, end of quote. And elsewhere it is explained, Eich Talit Starim, how the 4 angels, the ministering angels, Heim Klolus Ayin Sarim, are in general the 70. Sheheim Dalit Naharos, for those are the 4 rivers that are mentioned in Bereshis and Genesis in the area of Gan Eden. So it lists the 4 rivers there, Pishoin, Chulu, etc. V'ayin mizeh gamkein b'Torah or Parshas Va'era al pasuk kach es matcha. Then he's sending us to look at another place in Torah or from the Alter Rebbe on the section in the weekly portion of Va'era. Uv'malke machar nisbar, and elsewhere it is explained Eich Yishmael ve'Esav him Klolus Ayin Sarim, how these 2, Yishmael, the son of Abraham, and Esav, the son of Yitzchak, are in general, they incorporate and they include the 70 spiritual ministering angels. Kiheim, for they are Lamed Hey Miyamin, 35 to the right, Lamed Hey Mismoil, and 35 to the left. So that's a total of 70. So somehow Yishmael is 35 of them, and Esav is 35 of them. And from the middle line, not the right nor the left, but in the center, idolaters do not have any yanika. They don't get any grasp. They can't get hold of sucking any nourishment from the middle, because the middle is completely holy. Meaning there is the right, which would be kindness. That's Yishmael. And if it's inappropriate kindness, and if it ends up going to the wrong side, that would be Yishmael. And there is severity, strictness, harshness, which again can translate into inappropriate strength and severity, and that would be Esav, because you see, Yishmael is the son of, he's the product and literally the product of Avraham, and Esav is literally the product, he's the son of Yitzchak. Abraham was the fullest 1,000% chesed, kindness of Kedusha. He was totally, totally holy, but he was an embodiment of the divine chesed, kindness, and love. But the negative of that can give nourishment to the negative, and that would be Yishmael, which was the inappropriate and the negative and the bad, unclean kindness and love. Yitzchak, Isaac, he was the embodiment of the holy, divine strictness, restrain, and that's called Gevura, and that is fear of Hashem, and to the fullest degree. And so he's 1,000% yira, fear. And again, that can give nourishment to or produce the negative type of strictness and severity, and that would be Esav. In general, out of the cardinal sins, so inappropriate chesed would lead to adultery and all of those related sins, because the person is showing kindness and affection and love in a forbidden way. And the sin of gevura, of severity, would be murder, that the person is showing inappropriate and wrong strictness and severity, the ultimate of taking another's life. But from the middle one, there is no Yanika, and thus Yaakov, Jacob, had no negative children. They were all righteous, unlike Avraham, who had Yishmael, and Yitzchak, who had Esav.
Would that be Tiferet?
Pardon?
Would that be Tiferet? I'm sorry, Rabbi Turen. Would that be
Tiferet. That's right. And then he says, take a look in the discourse, the end of the discourse, which begins with the verse that as the land gives out its produce. Be'inyan, with regards to the idea of Kain Hashem Yatzmiach Tzedako Sehila Neged Kol Hagoyim, the idea, according to the verse, that so too Hashem will give forth tzedakah, righteousness, and praise, corresponding or against all the nations. V'ayin me'inyan b'hanchel chuli b'afridei b'nei Adam b'bechaya seif parshas Noach. And he's giving us another reference to look up in the commentary of Rabbeinu Bechaya, or Bachya, as some pronounce it, and the Chumash, at the end of Parshas Noach. Al pasuk me'ela nifredu hagoyim, where it says there that from these people all the nations of the world separated out, and that's where you get the original 70 nations. So on that, Rabbeinu Bechaya has an explanation. U'begemara de Chagiga daf Yud Beis amud Beis, and in the Talmud tractate Chagiga, page 12b, Pirshu, there the rabbis of the Talmud explain Yatzev Gvuloi Samim L'Mispar B'nei Yisrael, this verse that Hashem will place the borders of the nations according to the numbers of the children of Israel. Shem Yud Beis Amudim, those are the 12 pillars, haOlam oimed aleim, that the world stands upon. Similar to what it says in Pirkei Avos, that the world stands on 3 pillars. So there it says that there's 12 pillars that the world stands upon. K'mispar b'nei Yisrael, like the number of the children of Israel. Yud Beis Shvatim, which is 12 tribes. And this is exactly, it fits, it goes in the same line. Maimer HaZoyar, with the statement in the Zoyar, the Parshas Shmois, and the Parsha of Shmois, Taf Hey, Sefer on Beis, page 5b at the bottom of the page. Vayin oid mi pasuk zeh bezoyar vayishlach Taf Kuf Ayin Zayin Amud Aleph, and furthermore you can look in the Zoyar on the Parsha Vayishlach, page 177a. With Parshas Miketz Kuf Tzadikei Amud Aleph, with Parshas Mishpatim Av Tzadikei Sefer on Beis. So he's giving us a bunch of references in the Zoyar. And then take a look, he says, in the Shalah, that is a later Sefer. The Shalah was out 500 years ago. On his commentary in Parshas Lech Lecha, V'reish Parshas Hazinu, and in the Shalah, in the beginning of the Torah portion of Hazinu. V'sham Piresh, and over there the Shalah explains, Lemispar b'nei Yisrael, what does it mean according to the number of the children of Israel? Bishvil mispar b'nei Yisrael, because of and for the number of the children of Israel. Shabbat Yavis Shalenu Gam Ken Shivim Chulu, because if you count how many families there are out of the b'nei Yisrael, also there's a total of 70.
Excellent. That was packed.
Yeah, especially if one were to look up all the references.
Yeah, I want to have to go. I'm going to have to go through all these videos again, but this one in particular, I think I'm going to try to even go.
Okay.
Thank you so much, Rabbi Turen.
Sure.
We probably only got a few minutes.
Yeah. So, okay.
Thank you.
Sure. Sorry for the little glitch over here.
No, that's quite all right. We got it done. Or you got it done. And it's amazing. Chassidus really is. I love the fact that we're recording this and we're going to be able to share it. It's going to, for posterity, it's going to make a big difference. So thank you so much.
And we got to figure out what we're going to do after this, because we're really getting close to the end of this. Sefer Likutim.
There's a section called Goyim that's interesting. It differentiates between the word Goy and the Amim.
Yeah,
I couldn't make out what it is though. I need your help.
Okay.
That was interesting, but whatever you want to do, I would.
Okay, we'll check it out.
Okay, thank you so much, Rabbi Turen. Have a good week.
You hopefully see you tomorrow, I guess.
Yes, God willing. I'm planning on it. Be well.
Good. Okay, take care.